Perek Yud Zayin, Mishnah Vov. This Mishnah is going to discuss the case where a muktzah object is somehow attached to an object which is not muktzah, and whether or not you can handle this item, the muktzah item and the non-muktzah item. So for example, the Mishnah is going to discuss a case where you want to draw water from a well. So you come up with a very clever idea. Imagine a big pumpkin, and you've eaten the pumpkin, you've eaten the flesh of the pumpkin, and it's now hollow. So you've got a big shell, a pumpkin shell, and you want to use it as a bucket to lower it down into a well to draw out water. But your trouble is that it's quite light, and therefore you're worried that it's going to just sort of bob around, it's going to float to the top of the water. So what you do is you take a nice good sized rock and you attach it to the shell of the pumpkin, and thereby when you lower it into the water, the heaviness of the stone will weigh the pumpkin shell down and it will go into the water. Now you can draw water out. So the shaila is, you've got an even which is muktzah, but you've got a pumpkin shell which is not. So how does that work vis-a-vis muktzah? So the Mishnah says as follows: Ha'even shebeker yuha, a stone which is attached to this pumpkin shell, let's call it. Im memalin ba ve'einu nefeles memalin ba. If you can draw the water and the stone will not fall away from the pumpkin, i.e. it's very firmly attached, then memalin ba, you can use it on Shabbos, no problem. Ve'im lav, and if not, ein memalin ba, i.e. if the stone will fall away, it's not securely attached to the shell of the pumpkin, then ein memalin ba, you cannot use it to draw up water on Shabbos. Let's see the Bar Tanura. The Bar Tanura explains this as follows: Ha'even shebekir yuha, dolas, some sort of gourd, let's say a pumpkin, we've used a translation of a pumpkin. Yevesha, dried out pumpkin. U'memalin bo mayim, and you want to fill it with water. U'mitoich shehi kalam, because it's light, eina she'eves, it doesn't sink down into the water. And at sofa, it merely floats. V'noistin bo even lahachbido, therefore you put a stone, you attach a stone to it to weigh it down. Im memalin bekir yuha, if it is you can fill up the water, the pumpkin. Ve'ein however no feles, and the stone doesn't fall away. Says the Bar Tanura, shed kua yofer, that you attached it very well. Befiha kiriyah, in the mouth of the pumpkin shell, have a keli. This becomes a new keli. So therefore, even though the stone is ordinarily muktzah, it becomes bottle, if you like, toffel to the actual keli, and it becomes part of the keli. Therefore, it's no longer muktzah, and therefore you can use it on Shabbos. Ve'im lav, but if as you lower it down, the stone can fall away, it's not so securely attached. Says the Bar Tanura, harihu kasharav on him, it retains its status as a stone, it doesn't become bottled to this keli, it's still considered a stone. Ve'ein metaltelim es hakiriyah, not only can you not touch the stone because it's still muktzah, but you can't even touch the pumpkin shell. Shenas is bossis le'even shenosaso, because the shell becomes a bossis for the stone. In other words, if it's attached firmly, then it becomes bottled to the shell and you can use it no problem. If it's not attached firmly, then the even retains its status as an even, and the stone therefore is muktzah. What's more, because it's muktzah, the actual pumpkin shell which is holding it is going to become a bossis, a base, a tray for something which is muktzah, and the halacha is in muktzah that a bossis, l'dav ha'asa, is also asa. So therefore, not only can you not touch the stone, but you can't even touch the pumpkin shell. Therefore, you would not be able to use it on Shabbat. Concludes the Mishnah, Zemoira shehi kashur b'tofiach, a branch which is tied to a jug or something like that. Memalin ba b'Shabbos, you can also use it to draw water on Shabbos. So imagine you've got a long branch, and the branch splits two ways, and you attach a jug or a pitcher to the ends of this branch, and you again use it to lower it down to draw out water. That would be mutter on Shabbos, so long as it was tied to the branch was tied to the pitcher before Shabbos, then it would be mutter. And the Bar Tanura explains, lepach koton, zmurshi kshur l'tafiach, lepach koton, a branch is tied to this jug, sheshayav in boimayim, you use it to draw out water min habar, from a pit, or from a well, or min hamayim, from some sort of spring. Memalin bo, you could use it to draw out water on Shabbos, the shavye lahach zemoira kli, because that you have made this zemoira, this branch, into a keli, and therefore it's no longer muktzah. So long as it's tied and firmly attached before Shabbos, then it's okay. However, if it was not tied before Shabbos, even if you had designated this branch for this purpose, in certain circumstances we said previously that you can tie things on Shabbos. So I might have thought, you've got a branch, even which, let's say, you've designated for this purpose of drawing water on Shabbos, and you could tie it perhaps in a way which doesn't violate the Isurim of Kosher and Matir, still it would be a problem. Why? Because the Gemara says there would be Choshesh that if you were to tie it in a permissible way on Shabbos and you would try and draw water, you might find that the branch is too long, and you might chop off the ends of the branch, and that is a tolda of Makkah b'Patish, one of the last melacha, Makkah b'Patish, the final hammer blow. And therefore, this Mishnah, this line of the Mishnah of Zemira, is specifically talking about where it was tied before Shabbos, and in that situation, then it would be mutter to use to draw water, because the Zemira becomes part of the keli of this jug, which is being sunk into the well to draw out water. That is the end of Mishnah Vav.